Okay, we are on now.
All set. Thank you. Allow me. I will call the Grants Committee meeting to order. It is April 23rd, 2025 at just past 10 a.m. I will begin with our land acknowledgement. The Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. Let's verify who we've got with us for today. First, my name is John Sayamon. I'm the Councillor for District 16 and the Chair of the Grants Committee. Is Joseph Allen, our Vice Chair, here? Do we have our Vice Chair? Don't see him on the call. All right, and Councillor David Hensby. David's not with us. Councillor Virginia Hinch.
Hi.
Hello, Councillor. And Councillor Nancy Hartling.
How you doing? Hi.
Councillor Hartling. And Darren Steeves.
Email password this one.
Good morning.
Good morning. Bushra Polat.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hi there. Lara White.
I'm assuming the
Look like
video
we have
will be
Lara
us.
connected at the moment. Keith McDonald.
I'm here.
Wonderful. Good morning. And Stephanie Sakis. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, good morning. It's last name Sax, phonetically like saxophone. It's easiest way.
Okay. That definitely helps. Thank you. All right. And for staff, we have Peta Temple, Sherry Dillman, Billy Comer, and Olaumi is our legislative assistant and clerking the meeting. Do we have all three of those other staff? I know Olaumi's on.
Sherry Dillman's here.
Billy Comer as well.
PJ Temple.
Wonderful.
Peter Griffin.
All right, so we've got our entire team. So I'll move on to item number 2, approval of the minutes from January 22nd, 2025. I'll ask if anyone has caught any errors or omissions. Seeing none, can I call for a motion to approve the minutes?
I can approve.
All right. Moved by Councillor Hinch. Do we have a seconder?
Oh, I'll second.
And seconded by Councillor Hartling. Thank you. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand. I suppose aye is probably a little bit more practical since we can't all see one another at the exact same time on our screens.
Aye.
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 And those against, nay. And the motion to approve the minutes carries. Those will be approved and circulated. All right, approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions. Olaumi, are there any additions or deletions from the clerk's office?
No additions or deletions received from the clerk's office.
Wonderful. Oh, and welcome Vice Chair Joseph Allen. Can I call for a motion to approve the agenda? Looking for a mover and a seconder.
I'll move it. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Hartling and a seconder.
Second.
I'll second. Or
Either
Sorry,
one.
who was the seconder?
Keith.
Okay, wonderful. And call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. And the motion to approve the order of business is approved. There is no business arising out of the minutes. We'll move on to number 5, call for declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any members present with a conflict of interest with anything on today's agenda?
Correct. I'm a member of the SS Atlantic Heritage Society.
Madam Clerk, do you consider that a conflict?
Yes, because she will be
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
yes,
It's,
so
yeah,
she will have the right to vote, so she will need to step off mute herself and turn off the camera when we get to the item.
Okay. So you've made a point of at what point we'll wind up asking Councillor Hartling to step off for that section?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other conflicts of interest to declare? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 6, consideration of deferred business. There is none. Number 7, correspondence, petitions, and delegations. Madam Clerk, is there any correspondence received from the clerk's office for today's meeting?
No correspondence received from the clerk's office.
And are there any petitions for that have been received for today's meeting?
Also, no petitions or delegations received from the clerk's office.
All right. Item 7.3, presentations. There are none. There are no information items brought forward. So we'll move on to item number 9, which is reports and discussions. We have item 9.1.1, which is Community Museum Grants Program, recommended awards for 2025. We have staff on the line to answer questions. There will not be a presentation, but the members of the committee are invited to ask any questions of the staff present on that particular report. First, I will call for a mover and a seconder for the motion on this item.
I can move it.
All right, moved by Vice Chair Joseph Allen. And do we have a seconder?
I can second it.
All right, seconded by Councillor Hinch. So before we go any further, let's have some discussion around any questions that our team might have here for staff on.
Do we want to put the motion on the floor though?
Oh yes, sorry. I don't have the writing of the motion here, but for Vice Chair Joseph Allen, you can read the motion, please.
9.1.1. The Grants Committee recommends that Regional Council approve 14 annual operating grants for fiscal year 2020-25, 2025 to 2026, 2027, 2027, 2028, subject to annual budget approval at a combined cost of $157,890 from operating account M310-8004, and approve 8 one-time project grants as described in discussion section of the staff report dated February 20th, 2025 at a combined cost of $55,920 from operating account M310-8004.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. And so we have you as the mover and Councillor Hinch as the seconder. We can go through the speakers list in the order that I have here to invite members for any questions that they might have. Councillor Hensby is not here, so we will move on to Councillor Hinch.
Actually, I don't have any questions at this time.
All right. Councillor Hartling.
No questions here.
All right. And I'll go back to my list of folks that are actually here. Darren Steeves, do you have any questions for staff?
No questions. It was a comprehensive read through.
It really was. Thank you, staff, for putting together such a comprehensive report. Oshurdal, did you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Lara White. Oh, right. She wasn't here. Apologies. Keith McDonald.
Oh, Keith, you're on mute there.
Or we lost him. Where is he? Oh, there we go.
It was a comprehensive read through. Are these the list that is here? Is that all of the applications that were received, or are these only the applications that have been approved? Is this the process?
The report contains all the applications received, and if they're not recommended, there'd be a subsection in the report. Grant applications not recommended for funding. That's on page 6.
Right.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And Stephanie, did you have any? Oh, sorry. Keith, did you have any follow-up questions?
No, that's good. Clear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Stephanie, did you have any questions?
No, it was very thorough and sort of getting up to speed here. But the one question I have is the motion as worded, would it also incorporate the holdback funding recommendation waiting pending the final report for the Fort Sackville Foundation? Like, is that it gets approved and then they'll go into the sort of the fine print, would they, in terms of the holdback component?
Right. Good question for staff.
Peter's just confirmed we have received the report, so that's not an issue for us. We put that when we wrote the report, but subsequent to that, we have the final report. So it's a go. There's no issue there for us.
Perfect. Thank you. That was my only question.
Okay. Thank you. Joseph Allen.
I have no questions at this time.
All right. And similarly, I don't have any follow-up questions. I was going to actually ask that same question about the holdback, so all good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I make a point about the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame?
Yes, please.
It could amend the recommendation number 2 and could impact the balance remaining in the program. So at the time, the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame applied for funding towards an exhibit. Mm-hmm. So this is on page 5 of the report. Again, subsequent to that application, which we would have received by the deadline of January 31st, the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame made a presentation on February 13th to the Community Planning and Economic Development Standing Committee, mm-hmm. and requested a capital grant in the range of $200,000 to $300,000 towards a capital campaign for the fit up and exhibition development for that same location. There was no indication in their application to us that they plan to do so. So there could be a perception of duplication of effort. Staff are recommending a capital grant of $10,000 towards the development of a new exhibit. And we have no way of knowing if that's included in the $200,000 to $300,000. So that large request has been forwarded by the clerk's office to staff. It will require a follow-up report to council. So we don't know at this point whether they would be awarded any additional fundings, but that would be significant. I think that's way above anything that we could provide under this program. So right. There could be consideration given at this meeting to recommend that council revoke, or the committee recommend that council revoke a $10,000 award to the Sports Hall of Fame on the basis of that subsequent request, which wasn't declared to us. We couldn't take that into account.
Right.
There is a footnote too at the bottom of page 5 that shows previous funding to this group. Again, for exhibit development, the combined total of which is $50,000 or $40,000. It was $20,000 each in 2024 and 2023. Mm-hmm. So I think, given that we have other groups who have made such requests, certainly smaller groups with significantly less financial capacity, the committee might take that into consideration. Or for council members of the committee, we might entertain a question from a member of council in regard to that. So there's an option there.
Right. I mean, would it be appropriate to, if not cancel the 10,000 outright, put pause on it and request a clarification as to whether or not this would then be removed from the total that's been requested of community planning and economic development, so that there isn't a duplication occurring?
Yes, certainly. I mean, the committee today could put an amending recommendation on the table, directing staff to hold any funding and to clarify with the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame exactly what it is they're asking for in the $200,000 to $300,000. And then at least I think when we arrive at council, staff would be in a better position to be able to answer a question. Is there duplication? Was there intent to ask for this in addition to that subsequent request? And then I think council has the full context, and we could certainly do that. We'll have plenty of time to follow up between now and the council agenda. So that may be preferable. And then based on what we receive at that point, we'll be in a position to talk to any question and have clarification ourselves.
Yeah, that seems like an appropriate step to take, if only to provide council with, as you said, more context with which to evaluate the request.
Yeah.
Is there a councillor on the line here? I mean, as I'm chairing, I'm mindful of the fact that it's probably not appropriate for me to craft the language of the amendment here, but if one of the other councillors is open to taking a crack, first of all, if you're supportive of the notion of amending the motion to provide for a provision to temporarily pause this particular award in order to afford staff an opportunity to investigate further whether or not there is a duplication occurring with the other request of council. You know, getting the language right so that it's clear that this is the intent. I think to me, it seems like an appropriate thing. I'm curious what the rest of the committee here thinks.
I think it's a reasonable request to at least have it amended temporarily, for at least give sufficient time to look into it. I don't know if staff could have that added to it or not, or if it has to be a councillor.
Yeah, I'll put forward the amendment. I might need some help with the wordsmithing, but it does make sense.
Thank you, Councillor Hartley. Allow me, are you able to capture the essence of what it is that we've requested to be part of the amendment here?
Yes, I'm working on that. That the grants committee recommend the staff hold funding pending clarification
of the what would we? I can't remember if there was a name for the other.
Is anybody
request.
on CPED? Are you on CPED?
I am, but I can't remember exactly what the language was of the request. I mean, we can simply say that we're looking for it to be held temporarily while staff investigates or gets clarity from the requesting party any duplication that may exist with the outstanding request to the CPED committee.
We have a raised hand here.
Peter, saying something?
Yes, if I could help, the committee could motion to hold the Nova Scotia Sport Hall of Fame grant pending further investigation by staff of their subsequent request to Regional Council for additional funding. And that wording is careful, Councillor St. Amand, because I wouldn't be just looking for duplication. I'd be looking for clarification. No, we're looking for funding from more than one source.
Right, yeah.
And that would allow us to ask some very specific questions. At this time, I don't know which department was assigned the report back to council on the Sports Hall of Fame. That would give me time to talk to those staff or figure out from the clerk where it went. And then I can check there at that point, is there any further detail? The presentation itself, to me, lacked the detail breakdown of what, $250,000 was going to fund. So that's the kind of detail we'd be looking for. And we'd be able to give a synopsis of that to council if the question arises, which I think it might. So this way we'd be prepared. So it will be to hold funding pending staff's further investigation as to the subsequent request for $200,000 to $300,000.
All right.
Okay, so we have an amendment on the floor for, it says that the grants committee recommends the staff hold the NS Hall of Fame grants pending clarification of the duplication of fundings, but we want to change
Yeah,
that.
the language at the
Yeah.
end of that might need to be
Yeah.
modified to reflect the discussion we just had.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you could amend that to pending an investigation of the subsequent request.
pending. Do you have that?
Clarification?
Hold on.
Okay.
Pending the clarification. Okay, so it will be, so the amendment is that the grants committee recommend the staff hold NS Hall of Fame or Hall of Fame grants pending clarification or pending the clarification of the subsequent requests.
Do we need to identify that the subsequent request was made of CPED or because CPED recommended that it get forwarded to full council, we don't really need to reference it that way?
I feel like this is probably fine. It's pretty open-ended.
True. There we
That
go.
the grants committee recommends staff hold NS Hall of Fame grants pending the clarification of the subsequent requests. Yeah, I'll move that.
I think that works. Do we have a seconder for the amendment?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Allen. Call for the question on the amendment itself. So all we're doing is voting on whether or not this winds up forming the substance of an amendment to the original motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by aye. And any against, nay. And the amendment to the original motion is adopted. We can roll back to any further discussion on the motion as amended. Sounds like we're in the clear on that. So I'll call for the question on the original motion. All those in favor say aye.
I just want to check and confirm, I can't vote on this part, right?
Yeah, that would be true.
Yeah, okay.
You have to turn off your camera and mute yourself.
All right. So with the remaining committee members, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And those against, nay. And the motion as amended carries. Thank you. All right. Olami, are you able to signal to Councillor Hartling that she is able to rejoin for the Regional Special Events Grant Report for item 9.1.2?
I'm here. All I had to do is turn off my camera.
Okay.
And mute myself, so I can still see.
You can still hear what we were doing. Okay, yeah. Perfect. All right, so for this item as well, there is no staff report, but we have Sherry Dillman, the Civic Event Coordinator for Parks and Recreation, available to answer any questions about the Regional Special Events Grants report that we have received. First, I'll ask for a motion a mover to put the motion on the floor.
Motion.
All right, Vice Chair Allen.
This one's long. Good Lord. Okay.
I know it is.
It's like a novel. I know. I got to zoom in on this one. Okay. Approve 55 event grants for a total of $330,000 from approved 2025 to 2026 operating budget C760. I am on the right one, right? Yep. Community civics events and 22 event grants for a total of $310,000 from the approved 2025-2026 operating budget C760, funded from the 2025-2026 Culture Development Reserve Q621, as identified in attachment 2 of the staff report dated April 2025. Item number 2, pending final approval of the 2026-2027 budget, approve 42 established community event grants in the amount of $313,000, funded from the operating budget C760, community and civic events, and 22 cultural events and showcases grants in the amount of $310,000, funded from the operating budget C760, funded from the Community Events Reserve Q621, as identified in attachment 3 of the staff report dated April 8th, 2025. And item number 3, pending final approval of the 2027-2028 budget, approve 42 established community event grants in the amount of $313,000, funded from the operating budget C760, community civic events, and 22 cultural events and showcases grants in the amount of $310,000, funded from operating budget C760, funded from the Community Events Reserve Q621, as identified in attachment 3 of the staff reported dated April 8th, 2025. I need a drink.
I was going to say, you're going to need a breather after that. Well done. Thank you, Vice Chair Allen.
Very good.
Do we have a seconder for the motion?
I can second it.
Thank you, Councillor Hinch. All right, so we have not only do we have Sherry Dillman on the call, we do have Billy Comer, who is the manager of events, who I'm sure will wind up piping in if we need to. Are there any questions from the group? So we'll again go through the speakers list in order, beginning with Councillor Virginia Hinch.
Again, I don't think I have any questions at this time. Yeah, I think I'm good for now.
All right. Councillor Hartling.
No questions from me.
All right, thank you. Darren Steeves.
I was trying to find it in time to reference, but so the only question I was wondering is whether we've seen changes in terms of groups that either haven't applied or have, and if we've noticed kind of some variability in that before.
Year over year or longer term trends?
Year over year, sorry. Yes.
Okay. Great question for staff. Thank you.
Yeah, that is a good question. Certainly, so we have in total 77 regional and special event grant applicants, which it consists of a lot of annual events that we see year over year, but also a fair bit of new events. A lot of newcomer groups are coming to the municipality and hosting cultural events. As an example, last 3-year funding cycle, the Culture Events and Showcases program received 13 asks, so 13 events in that program. This 3-year funding cycle, we received 22 Culture Events and Showcases asks. So there is new events significantly on the rise, but you know, a large portion, like say the Halifax County Exhibition, that's a long time funded event, just as one example. We fund some events for years, and we're experiencing new events as well. Both great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on to Hosherdar Polad.
No questions. Thank you.
All right. And Keith McDonald. Sorry, you're muted again.
Muted there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm retired too long now. I forgot about it talking on mute. Anyway, no, it was very well detailed for somebody who's brand new to this, so it was great, great information.
Wonderful, thank you. Stephanie.
Yeah, I was just curious, like I had gone through it and it was very interesting to see all of the different requests. And then I went back to the table at the back that shows like the grant from the previous year and then this year's requested versus the proposed. And I'm curious, like, for example, I just picked one because it was like the World Ocean Day. they requested a grant of 10,000, and I guess the proposed is we only issue 1,500. I'm just wondering what the rationale is not to give the full amount. Is it tied to there's only so much money, or is there other criteria that would determine the reduced support?
That's another great question. And yes, it's tied to both budget and a specific set of funding criteria that's, based on financial need, the attendance, the value added of the event. And the World Ocean Day is part of a budget that's $330,000, and we receive much more requests than $330,000. So for the most part, all the events don't receive their funding ask. The majority of the events don't receive their funding ask. I'm just looking here. Established community events. The funding ask was $478,000. I should include that because it combines the budget with significant and community. So the funding ask was $500,900, and this program only has $330,000 to allocate. So of that $330,000, we do go through each event specifics with all the internal scoring system of how to allocate that $330,000.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. We'll move on to our Vice Chair, Joseph Allen.
I have no questions, just a comment as to Sherry's point earlier. It does kind of make sense where the asks for more event and cultural requests are coming in more and more as our economy increases and our population kind of increases, and those who are wanting to put on events kind of come into our community. It kind of makes sense that we jump so quick, so fast. But it's kind of great to see that we have that bad problem of wanting to put on more events, but we kind of restricted by funding. But it's nice to see that we have quite a bit of more of diverse events coming to the community.
Agreed. And well, we'll move on to me. I do have two questions for staff. One builds off of the question that Darren had asked. Not only do we have new events, but I'm curious what the geographic representation is among the new events. Like, are we seeing things fairly evenly distributed throughout the municipality when new events wind up being brought to us, or are they fairly centralized? That would be question number one. And then question number two that I had was, I did note within the awards that there were two events that were separated by a couple of months that were from the same organization. And I wondered whether or not it's common in years past to make awards to the same organization for multiple events in a single calendar year.
Councilors are asking great questions this time, and all other times before, I should say also. So two questions. The first one is the geographics. So all applicants that are eligible do receive funding. The majority of events that apply for funding are generally within the downtown core. We do fund outskirts events, like the Halifax County Exhibition is out in Middle Musquodoboit. We fund Porter's Lakes events, Sackville. It's hard, there's 77 of them, but I would say the vast majority are more downtown, Dartmouth, Halifax, Bedford.
Might be tied to where the population centers are.
Yeah,
which I think is
it is what it is. There was only one event that applied that was considered ineligible, and that's based on AO criteria. But yeah, downtown Halifax, Dartmouth, Bedford, Sackville tends to be the majority of our regional special events grants. That's to answer the first question. And the second question again relates back to eligibility. So one event, let's just pick one off the list. So Agricola Street Holiday Market is the event. So Agricola Street Holiday Market can only receive one event grant funding, but the organization, if the organization hosts 2 or 3, perhaps, eligible events as per the AO criteria, an organization can receive funding for multiple events in the calendar year.
So they're
And
just
that's
treated as
separate.
distinct events?
Right. And scored accordingly to the internal scoring system to allocate the funds. Yeah.
Right. And there's not a scoring component that identifies the proponent for an event being a duplicate of another event or another. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm wondering if there's nothing in the scoring criteria that says that if one organization wanted to hold a special event this is probably an extreme example, and I'm using it for demonstrative purposes here. If they wanted a special event every month, there's technically no criteria that really reflects that at all. It's really just on the basis of what each individual event entails. Is that right?
That would be correct. And if that was ever brought forward and hypothetically this program received 5 applications from one organization to host 5 events, then that would be something I would discuss with my manager, Billy Comer, because this funding program only has X amount of dollars to fund, 77 events. So if one organization wants to be 5 of the 77, we would have to discuss how the funds would be allocated. That hasn't happened as of yet, but that's, again, a very good question. And yeah, that would be an internal discussion, how we would handle that.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Can't mute myself. I'm supposed to lead this thing. Okay.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
Billy's also wants to.
Oh, yes, please chime in, Billy.
Thanks, Chair. Just to add some context to that question, it's a great question, and it has been raised before, is just sort of analyzing if it did happen. We haven't seen it happen since the beginning of SEAC, but what we do see a lot is business improvement districts work with community members and different community members. So they'll form like a group if they're working with an Emancipation Day group. They'll form a group that's doing Emancipation Day and sign off on behalf of the business district because they're running that event. They'll also go then and do like the Christmas tree parade with someone like Sports Entertainment Atlantic and a volunteer committee as well. So sometimes you will see multiple applicants, but a lot of times there's new community leaders running them. And so we a lot of times
point.
So there's a lot of times that's where we do see a lot of duplicates is within the bids.
Yeah.
And then from there, we do know how much work it takes to do events sometimes. So the volunteer committees, we just haven't seen anyone get that hungry to do multiple events. So we've been okay that way too. So
there's
yeah,
a process of natural selection occurring there. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for staff on this report before I call for the question?
I do have one question.
Please go ahead.
I do sit on the board of North End Business Association. So am I not allowed to vote on this one?
Another question for Allow Me, our knowledgeable clerk.
Yeah, you should have declared the conflict of interest at the beginning of the meeting, and
I'm sorry.
and also you've listened to the debate and all, which you're supposed not to have participated. So
I mean, I haven't been to a meeting or anything as of yet. And they just automatically put me on the board.
What about, please?
North End Business Association.
Okay, so you just mute yourself and off your camera when I'm ready to call for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hinch.
Yeah, can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Yes, so just a question for the staff. Say, for example, I'm looking at Animation Festival of Halifax, and then below that, the Atlantic Jewish Film Festival. So I just want to know if they give down a proper like 72,000 is the budget, and then for the next one is 35,000, and then the grant request is 5,000 and the other person was 10,000. So how is it granted? So that was my question. And is it free for the audience to come? Like,
Good question.
Okay, so two questions. I believe the first one is regarding the requests. Is that what you're asking? Why one would request 5 and one would request 10,000?
no, and then the proposal as well. So is the grant proportionate to what they request, or what's the criteria of the grant?
It not necessarily is proportionate to the request. So the internal scoring system is based on a set of criteria for each of the programs: attendance, value added, financial need, how it affects or would not affect the community it's held in if it was or was not an event in that community. And that's an internal scoring system that, starts in the events, and Billy and I discuss prior to submitting the staff requests to the grants committee for review. And your second question, can you repeat the second question?
I mean, since we are giving them grants, the audience attendance, are they also ticketing the event, or is it just open for the...
Right.
Yes.
I did there's different programs within the regional special events grants. So say, for example, the community celebrations is required to be a free event. So that's part of the AO eligibility criteria. So you cannot be a ticketed community celebration. However, the established community events or the culture events and showcases can ticket at low cost. So that would all be brought forward in the application received from each of the organizations requesting for funding, whether it's ticketed or free.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Yes, sorry, Chair, before we call for the question, I'll need another mover since Councillor has declared conflict of interest on this item. We
Yes.
need, sorry, another
Another
second.
seconder, right?
Yes, second.
All right.
Second the motion.
All right. Seconded by Darren Steeves.
Thank you.
And if we're ready, I will call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and or raising your hand.
Aye.
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 And those against, nay. And the motion is carried. All right, we'll move on to item number 11, which is added items. Are there any added items that we are aware of, Olami?
None.
All right, then the date of our next meeting will be May 28th, 2025. Can I call for a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And so we are adjourned at 10:45 a.m. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Thanks
Take
very
care,
much.
everyone.
Thanks, all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.